Hello everybody and welcome to what is going to be a hopefully quite quick video, my batch review of the Golden Wind Feature Festival free-to-play units. I just want to quickly touch on these characters because I didn't cover them before and this video is kind of late already, but I'll talk about them anyway. I've got a couple of other videos that I want to pump out regarding upcoming events. Don't forget, if you want early updates on this stuff, it's always best to be in the Discord. It's always best to be following on Twitter, because that's where it's going to get posted the fastest. And this batch is really just, it's just mediocre. It's just a really mediocre batch of characters. I wouldn't say anyone is super standout. Maybe there's a couple of characters that have one super standout skill, but other than that, not really great. And I do wonder if that's just because Jojo is in a weird place with the Tier 1 version, so they haven't really put a new Unity battle character in. They haven't really put a new tower character or any kind of special event character, and there's only one like difficult stage in the entire event, plus the fact that we had 5 gacha units plus a limited gacha unit, and that it's kind of lacking in free-to-play units too. There's no second ultimate or anything like that, so bit sparse, bit sparse in terms of whether the units are actually good or not. But there you go. You may notice there has been an update to the database. If you click here, look at that, character stats in this left hand pane. Now this is not available for all characters just yet. We're going to add them as quickly as we can. Obviously it's a little bit easier than adding character skills and whatnot because it's just numbers. There's no translation, there's no like having to find out if somebody has the character available or whatever. It's just numbers. It's just numbers, and a lot of them are already available to us as a translation team. So we'll fire through those as quickly as we can. But for those that have only started playing recently, or maybe just don't know, this game's been out for 900 days. As of me recording this video, it's been out for 900 days, and in that time we have gained over 700 units. No other game's really putting out units that fast, which does make it a little bit difficult to catch up when we add a new feature and we've got to add information for every single unit. But we'll get there. We will get there. They'll slowly be added to all the other characters, and this is obviously a feature we're adding now, which we're hoping later down the line, once a new functionality has been implemented in the database, we can use to filter and to sort and whatever. So pretty cool, and hopefully could be useful to somebody. Don't know who, but could be useful to somebody. So let's talk about this batch very quickly. Let's start off with Chocolata. As far as he goes, I kind of think that he is not great. He is not a great unit. He could see some potential use as a front line, but quite frankly, for me, the only thing that's really good about his front line is this part here. And yes, 6% weakening is not a lot, but it does go up to 18%. 18% is not bad. And that 18% is going to go for 3 turns. Now, if you have the Pinnacle of Perfection Ryoma, this is his best friend. This is Pinnacle of Perfection Ryoma's best friend, because he is going to get the absolute best out of that Ryoma every turn, which is awesome. There are obviously, you know, arguments to be made that Ryoma sucks because he's kind of old, so why would you be using him over more modern units? I don't really have an answer for you, but what I will say is, if you do want to use him, this is his best friend, and that is the only situation I can see where you'd want to be running Chocolata as a front line. His passive is not saying much. This can be useful. I won't deny that it can be useful, but the fact that it's on like a 65% HP restriction, like I said, it's not saying much. He's a very mid unit. the buddy skill, obviously the bubble reduction is, you know, 2 turns by 2. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. The charge the legend gauge is just kind of a nice bonus because it's only by a very small amount, but there could be a time where you're facing a stage and it comes in clutch. You never know. But it doesn't really speak to me as like a top tier support. It's pretty nice though. I will give it pretty nice. And as a front line, very niche. But not in the right way. It's not niche in the sense that he's got a special thing that he gets rid of or a special immunity or something. It's niche in the sense that some units can benefit from it, but mostly they don't. So for me, not great. Moving on to Seko. Seko, as a frontline, in my opinion, sucks. He has the same issue of his passive as Chocolata because it's the same passive, just green bubble instead of a blue bubble. And his ultimate attack, look, there could be some argument for the paint aspect of his ultimate attack, but realistically speaking, he's not removing anything, he's not immune to anything, it's just one block bubble. He gets rid of one block bubble. And so you'd really be relying on this paint bubble to be the kind of selling point for his ultimate attack. But for me, bro, unless it's on a unit that's already hitting really hard, or you've got two units that have really good synergy together, like for example Tanjiro and Rengoku, the paint bubbles just get in the way. They just get in the way. At least with Tanjiro and Rengoku, Tanjiro is giving you those rainbow bubbles. Both those units already hit pretty hard anyway, so there's a lot of upside there. But Seko's got just over 300%, which is pretty standard for a Transcendent class unit. It doesn't work for me. It doesn't work for me as a front line. His buddy skill, however, is pretty damn good. It is pretty damn good. Free turn cooldown. You know, free turn cooldown it's not really something we see as much in free-to-play units nowadays. It used to be quite common back at the start of the game. That was kind of a selling point for a lot of units where the skill would not be inherently amazing, but the fact that you could use it over and over and over again with a short cooldown was pretty damn good, and that's the situation here. I think, you know, being able to burst 3 green bubbles and reduce the number of bubbles required to get a skill bubble by 1 for green team members for 2 turns. 2 turns! I like it. I really like it. Now, some people would say, oh, but burst 3 green bubbles, it's going to ruin your burst, you know. No. This is good for stages where you're going to get spammed with bubble extension. He's going to reduce it. He's going to make it all a lot easier. Plus, you get the bonus of having that 1 reduction, which is very nice for 2 turns. And he's going to burst 3 green bubbles, which means you're going to have more space on the board to set up more strings, more skill bubbles, rather than those green bubbles linking together your skill bubbles and ruining your setups. That's my opinion. People might see it differently, but I think as a buddy, very nice. As a frontline, I just don't care. I just don't care. Next up, we have Pisci. Pisci is... Look, okay, he can probably do pretty decent damage. You know, he does his max HP by 104%. That's probably not going to be bad damage considering he's got 12k HP. That's not bad. Not bad for a free unit. And, you know, he reduces buddy's seal by buddy skill seal by 1. By 1 is not great, but for a free unit, it's about what you would expect. It's about what you know, the gacha units, the limited units only reduce it by 2. So 1, okay, that's fine. And at least he's reducing something unlike those other 2 we just talked about. Plus, he's going to boost his own ultimate attack damage by up to 15% on a 70% restriction. So when your HP is 50% or less, you get 15% boost on 104% HP base damage. That's not bad. You can't really say that's bad, I don't think. It's just damage. It's just damage. The only thing he's got going for him that's not damage is this part here. And with Buddy Skill Seal, if you're reducing it by 1, you might as well be reducing it by 0. A lot of the time, it's not that great. My opinion, of course, I'm not saying that it couldn't be used. It absolutely could. It's just I can't really see myself using it. And as far as free-to-play units, unless they're somehow hitting really hard, I'm not really going to be using them for damage. So the fact that he does pretty good damage for a free-to-play unit doesn't really mean much to me. I'd rather he would be setting up my other units. Again, he's a Transcendent class unit, you can't expect that much from him. But his buddy skill has some uses, definitely. I think anybody that was doing Diabolo probably knows that already, because I know a lot of people did use him for Diabolo, at least for the ultimate class version. Less so for the Catastrophe, but still some use on the Catastrophe. The damage reduction is just, you know, it's gravy. It's a nice little bonus, 2 turns damage reduction, not too shabby. But the buddy skill cell reduction by 2, yes, as I have mentioned before, situationally kind of difficult to get it off at the right time, because obviously, you know, you need to be using it on a character that's already reducing it, and if it's on a stage where you're getting hit with 3 instead of 2, there's no character that's reducing it by 3, so if Pisci is still sealed, then he's fucking useless to you. It's just buddy skill still sucks as a debuff in general. So if the stars align and everything works out just fine, then Pesci's going to be a guy for that sort of thing. But normally you would rather have something a little bit more consistent. I get that, you know, because if a character gets weakened and you use a character that reduces weakening, it just reduces the weakening. You don't have to think about anything else. But in this situation, you will find yourself kind of hoping he doesn't get sealed, I suppose. But I think you can maybe do certain setups where only certain characters get sealed and stuff. So it definitely has its uses. Like I said, anyone who was doing Diabolo will know he definitely had his uses. Yeah, he's probably going to be mainly used for his support. As far as a Transcendent goes, not too shabby. Now, Prosciutto, I know some people probably missed out on Prosciutto because you had to beat the daily stage that you could clear 3 times. You had to do that every day for at least 10 days during the event, and I'm just willing to bet a lot of people missed out on that, which is a shame because that stage gave so much skill EXP. You did not want to miss out on that skill EXP. But if you did miss out, he'll come back eventually. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. As long as you've got him to max skill, you probably don't have to think about it all that much. His ultimate attack, I would say, is good. It's good. His damage is about similar to the other units, but he's giving you that attack down, which 10% is an okay-ish amount for a free-to-play unit to be reducing attack by, but the main selling point would be setting up other characters to do boosted damage to attack down. Like I mentioned with Chocolata, the main selling point is his weakening, not his actual damage. His passive is reducing buddy skill seal by 1, so the same as Pisci, but obviously he's green instead of yellow. And HP restricted 70% boost of ultimate attack damage to DPS and balanced class team members by 7%. Now, this is kind of a mixed bag. DPS and balanced are quite common classes, you know. If it had been something like healer or whatever, it's like, oh, well, that's rubbish. Balanced and DPS is like a good percentage of the units available in the game. So that's reasonable. 7%'s not a whole lot, but you've got to remember he's boosting the whole team, not just himself, so 7%'s okay. Restricted by 70%, not ideal, but okay, it's fine. I think it could be good. I think it's better than some of the other units that aren't really doing much for their team members, because if he's doing anything for his team members, he's doing more than them. And a lot of the time for a 99 luck lead, you want someone that's doing something for the team members. You don't really care that much about whether they're doing stuff for themselves, because what's the point in boosting, you know, say it boosted his attack by like 17, 18%. I don't care. He's not going to be doing a lot of damage, so I just don't care. But boosting his team members, and I mean technically not boosting himself, but boosting his team members, I can get behind that. And his buddy skill absorbs a total of 14 yellow and heart bubbles, and for 2 turns, boosts the attack of green team members by 26% plus 1% for every bubble absorbed. So that's a total of 40% attack boost, plus you're getting that board control. You're absorbing a load of bubbles. There are stages where you're not going to want yellows on the board. He's going to absorb some. The stages where you don't want hearts on the board. He's going to absorb some. And you're getting an attack boost as a bonus on that. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. It might be a little bit situational, but I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty solid. So as far as a unit goes, he's probably one of the stronger ones of this batch. But, you know, some people definitely will have missed him. I know they will. Some people definitely will have missed him. Now, Diabolo, the last unit of this batch. We actually have one more thing to talk about after Diabolo, but the last unit of this batch, he inflicts damage plus gives himself an ultimate attack boost for 3 turns. It's okay. It's okay. Like I said, if you want to use a 99 luck unit as a hitter, that's fine. But a lot of the time you're not going to want to. A lot of the time you're not going to want to. Though I can obviously see the benefit of units like that in cases where you're trying to jump in on co-op. Because in co-op, you're probably going to be running 4 like 99 luck leads. You're going to want to be doing some damage. So that makes sense. I can totally get that. But as somebody who doesn't really use co-op except for much easier stages where you just want to bang out the the luck of your characters very quickly, I don't see necessarily the benefit of a Diabolo, but you know, he does at least have an immunity. He's immune to attack down, that's nice. And he boosts his attack by 7%, goes up to 19%. For me, it's kind of, again, it's kind of negligible, but I mean, his damage has potential for a 99 luck lead, and again, like I said, could see some use in co-op. But I probably won't be using him as a front line. He's not one I want to be investing limit break doors in. It's not like a Saga or something like that, where it's like, damn, he is a must-have. Because again, Saga's doing stuff for his teammates, not for himself. So that's just me. That's just me. And his buddy skill. I really like his buddy skill. I really, really like it. He converts up to 5 red, green, yellow, heart, and rainbow bubbles. I say up to 5. It's 5 unless you somehow have a board full of like block or blue or skill bubbles or whatever. 5 bubbles to blue and creates a skill bubble on a 7-turn cooldown. This is great because there's so many times where you're trying to do like a burst setup within a certain amount of turns, and you're just like, I'm just missing that one key support to give me like a few extra bubbles. That one key support that means I don't have to sacrifice a weakener or sacrifice a attack booster or alt attack booster or sacrifice a skill bubble creator because I'm not going to have the right board setup to make it all work. He's going to help with that. He's going to create a skill bubble and he's going to link a few bubbles together for you. Now, obviously, it's random. It's red, green, yellow, heart, rainbow, like whatever on the board. But I still think it's pretty good. I still think it's pretty tasty. So, plus it has the benefit of not being like, say, Hyoga, where it's set positions. It's random. So, I think it could come out very nice. Not bad. Not a bad support. But like I said, all in all, this batch, pretty mid. The only unit that I think is like, the only units that I think are key are Diabolo and Seko. I think that Seko support is pretty tasty. 3-turn cooldown, pretty tasty. And I think the Diabolo support, again, pretty tasty. But all in all, kind of a weird batch. Kind of a weird batch of characters. Now let's go to the Legend database. You may have spotted the new characters from the next event at the top there. We're going to talk about that in a separate video. Now we need to scroll down to Jojo. I've gone too far. Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Golden Wind. We have Trish Una, which is the legend summon you get for beating the Diabolo Unity Battle. Now, this, as far as a legend summon goes, very, very nice. Very, very nice. Obviously, there's some sort of like situational nature to it because of the cyclone part of it. It's not like a Athena where you're going to be using it every single time, or like one of the like attack boosters where you're going to be using it every single time. But it gives you some bubble conversion, which is good. 6 bubbles in total to rainbow, which is good. Reduces the number of turns of cyclone for red and blue, bear that in mind, and blue, by 1. And this is a legend summon that's reducing an elemental damage by, or the amount of turns of an elemental by 1. Very nice. If you were to use this in say PvP in tandem with say one of the limited supports that reduces cyclone or whatever, then you could in theory say, okay, I see a guy on my friends list. He's got a pretty good, not friends list, on my battle list. He's got a pretty good team. I'm probably going to get some good points from beating him. He's got Rao. He's gonna hit me with a cyclone. Don't worry, because I can just set up my team to have Trish in it as the legend summon. I can set up one of the supports that reduces cyclone. He's doing nothing. He's doing nothing, and that could be potentially very good. Plus, you're not sacrificing the additional bonus of a legend summon because you're still getting 2 turns of weakening at 12%, goes up to 30%. I think that's pretty nice. Even the bubble conversion and weakening means that the additional effect, even when not in use, still pretty good. Still pretty good. So, might be one of the best things that came out of this event. The Legend Summon. Fancy that. But that's going to do it for the batch review. More updates coming in videos and news posts, or whatever. Don't forget, like I said before, follow on Twitter, follow in Discord, because that's the places where you're going to get the information early. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video, which I don't know when I'm going to upload it. Don't know when I'm going to record it, but soon.